Okay, so I haven't looked at this problem any longer. And I did some other problem on the solo learn site that I think is similar to this, which is uh, something to check if something is a palindrome. And a palindrome is a number that is the same if you reverse it. So I think I learned some stuff from that one that might help on this one. I'm gonna spend 2 hours here. And I think I'm gonna separate maximum 2 hours for each challenge because I want, and then if I can solve it in 2 hours, I'm gonna move on to the next one and I'm gonna look at the solution for this one. Because I think 2 hours is a good enough time scale to force myself to learn as much as possible. And then if I look at the solution, I can just move on to another other types of problems and I can get more variety. So I think that's the best approach. Of course, the sum of all digits in a number given n take the sum of the digits of n. The value has more than one digit, continue reducing in this way until a single digit number is produced. So let me think again. Where did I stop? So I make a count equals n, c equals 11. Yeah, this was the thing. I think this syntax here, for some reason, on the other problem, it wasn't. Thank you for the follow RAC exploit. On the other problem, it wasn't working with this syntax, and then I changed to the normal one, the other one where you put, I think it's C plus this, and then it started working. So I'm not really sure. I don't understand really well why that happened, or if it was just a bug with the IDE from solo learn, but. And here the solution is obviously not gonna work because it wasn't working before. Yeah. But I think the key really is, so far from everything I saw, the key is to get the remainder and also to divide by 10. But I think I have to divide the count by 10. Because the problem on the other one was also this. I was dividing the n variable, and then because I was modifying, I wasn't getting the right number when I was reversing. So I had to pass this variable into another one and then divide this other one to keep this one intact to check later. But I'm not sure if that applies here on this problem. Because the other one I had to check the initial number with the final one that I got. And this one, I don't have to do that. So. Oh, here, obviously, well, I was using this to get the digits, I think. So I start with C11. If count is smaller than 10, then count equals 1, because that n has one digit. Else, well, count bigger than 10, count equals to count divided by 10. Yeah, but here I'm not getting the digits. I should make C plus. Yeah, that's the thing. This doesn't get the number, the amount of digits of n. Because I have to store this in another variable. I'm just wondering if I can use C to do this, or maybe it's better to create another variable. Yeah, I can't use C because I'm gonna use C here. So let's create another variable. And then I can erase this. The indentation is probably incorrect as well. So A plus equals 1. And I'm gonna do it before because I'm gonna initialize it with 0. And if it's bigger than 10, it's gonna have the problem where the initialization are just gonna stop the loop before 1. So if the number has 4 digits, it's gonna give me 3, but because I'm doing the one before, I got 4, I think. And then I'm dividing by 10 each time, because every division is gonna give me an extra digit. So A is gonna contain the number of digits that n has. But this was the problem I had before, is that I have to find a way to do this operation as long as I have numbers, as long as the result of the sum is bigger than 10, which is the problem. Because I don't think I can use this type of thinking here to solve this way. I can think about it in a way that I'm gonna solve for the first one in a different way that I'm gonna solve the next iterations. It has to be all inside of one thing. Mm. Unless I can use a function, obviously, but I don't think I can use a function here. If I remember correctly, you can't have functions inside of other functions. You can define a function inside of another function in C++. You can call a function inside of another one, but you can't define it. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's correct. So I think I'm just gonna scratch this and think about it again from the beginning. I think I'm gonna have to use a while loop in the beginning. That's the problem, the biggest problem here. Because how I'm gonna check the condition for the first while loop? I think it has to be something like n bigger than 10. If n is equal to 10, then the result's gonna be 1. Which I think is fine. Oh, but if it's less than 10, then the result... Maybe I can do if n, I can put if statements and then to check for these conditions. So if n smaller than 10, if n is equal to 10, then n equals 1. Else if n is smaller than 10. Oh, if n is smaller than 10, then I don't need to do anything actually. But I'm gonna put here anyway. Because the sum of the digits is gonna be the number itself. and then else if n greater than 10. Then I do the loop. I think that's the best approach, probably. Then it's just a question of how I'm gonna do this, the logic of this loop here, to make sense. I think I'm gonna erase this and think about it again from scratch. So I don't need to put while actually here. Oh, actually I do because I want the loop. It seems redundant, but I think it's necessary. Because otherwise it's just gonna hit the if statements once and then it's not gonna loop, obviously. But maybe I don't need 2 loops here. I just need 1. So, and maybe I can initialize a variable outside. Maybe I can just initialize with no value. So I remember for the palindrome, I had to use 2 variables, 2 different ones. And then I initialized one to 0 and the other one just without a number. So maybe I have to do the same thing here. Maybe I make int temp equals n. Int count equals 0. Now this one without value, count equals 0. So maybe I can make temp equals n, the remainder of n divided by 10. Then I can make count plus equals temp, and then n equals n divided by 10. Yeah, but then the thing is, whatever temp is, if it's bigger than 10, then I'm gonna have to... Yeah, I can't modify n actually. That's the thing. But if I don't, then that's a problem as well, because then it's gonna go on forever. So maybe if I use temp here instead. But then it's gonna stop in the first loop. So maybe I can create another variable. Yeah, but even if I create another variable, the condition can't be dependent on the first variable. Otherwise, I either have an infinite loop or I just run for the first iteration. I don't know if using a pointer or something like that would be effective here. Like making temp a pointer to n. It's kind of hard for me to think about pointers and when to use them. So it might be one of these things that I'm trying to overuse something just because I just learned about it. So how can I make the condition so that it keeps going regardless of, it keeps going based on the final number? In this situation, the final number, the resulting number is going to be count. So n is the remainder, and then temp is the remainder. Count is the sum of the remainders. And then I'm dividing by n by 10 each time. Then I'll have to use count and do the same process. But then the problem is if I do another loop here outside and use count as the condition, I would have to do this recursively for each iteration of the thing. So I think I do need 2 loops here. Yeah, I can use a for loop outside of the initial one. I think that's the only way actually. For int I equals 0, int smaller than count, I smaller than count, I plus plus. Then I move this stuff inside of the for loop. I think now it's correct, the indentation. Yeah, so I have to initialize count with 1, I think. And then outside of the while loop, I decrease by 1. Which is similar to what I was doing before, I think. And this minus is to offset. But maybe, yeah, it has to be outside of the for loop. But then if it is outside, it is a problem as well. Or maybe I can do a different condition here. I can do just... But if I do count bigger than 10, it's a problem as well. So let me think about the logic first. So the logic inside of this is to make count equal to the sum of the digits in n. And I'm using the temp to get this sum in count. And dividing n each time to get a different remainder, which is the last digit of n. So this block here gets all the digits, and if it's smaller than 10, then it, yeah, what about the last digit? That's another thing. Because let's say I have 8 at the end. Let's say 8 is the first digit. Say it is 81. Then it's gonna run for the first iteration, it's gonna catch 1, but it's not gonna catch the 8. Because it's gonna stop at n bigger than 10. Oh, maybe I can do the do while this condition. No, but I don't think it changes anything. I think I've learned in C++ that you can use, instead of using this, you can just write do and the condition and put the while after it so that it always runs the first time. But I don't think it makes any difference when it comes to the last time, because it's gonna hit the condition anyway after the loop, after the whatever instructions you have here. Yeah, so this is really difficult. Yeah, so this is what I was thinking. The first time is gonna be through this. Then the second, the logic before, after this is outside of the loop. So here I would make count plus equals n to get the last digit. And then I can make if count is bigger than 10. Then I keep going. I make, well, actually, I make n equals count. Because I want to run this loop again. I want to do this logic first so I can think about what condition to put here to fit the logic that I'm using here. So if count is bigger than 10, by that point, I make n equals count. Then else return count. And I think I can take this return off here. Just gonna comment for now. So it's just gonna keep going until count is less than 10. And then it's gonna return the count. So now I have to think about what condition I can put here to make this work. So it runs through this loop, makes the count equals to the sum of the digits in n, then gets the last digit outside of the while loop. I can make a count different than 0. But then I run the risk of the infinite loop if I made any mistakes here. But I think this works. Let's test and see what happens. Well, here. I could just do return n here. Actually. Let's try again. So, forgot something here. What line is this? Control may reach end of non-void function return time. Execution reached the end of a value returning function without returning a value. Oh. So it's probably not working. Oh yes, it's because I'm making n equals 1 here, but I'm not returning anything. So it might be that. Because I comment this out. So let's see if it works now. At least I got a number, actually. Oh, so I got 16 and it was 7. Which means that the last iteration is not working. Oh, actually, it's probably the first one in this. So why is that? So the problem is probably not here. Not here. It has to be on the loop. It has to be running this. So let's think. Here should be 6 stamp. And count should be 6. And then here should be equal to 1. Which is gonna break this loop. And it's gonna go here. And it's gonna make count equals to 7. So it should be working. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm gonna try to write it this way and see if anything changes. It's probably not gonna change, but I think it's worth trying. I didn't even hit this statement, so there's no way for me to know if the outer loop is working. Must be this block here. That is incorrect, but I just don't see anything that can be wrong here. The logic. I wonder if I can print stuff, but probably not. I have to include the standard library probably. Function print. Count stamp. Character out. Oh, oops. Maybe if I go to the palindromes solution. I don't even remember anymore. Where was it? Oh, here. So I made the remainder equals stamp. Yeah. And then I make temp equals x. Yeah, the only difference is this rev times 10 because here the goal is to get the number in reverse. So I don't think this is necessary in my problem. And then it's making temp divided by 10. But I'm not sure if that makes any difference. Because it's pretty much the same thing. What happens if I don't initialize count to 0? Yeah, because of the condition there, I have to do that. So what's different between this one and the other one? Rev is equal to count there. I'm just gonna copy this here, just so I can think about it. Oh, maybe actually I can do this condition as well here. It's probably better. And that's gonna go into the last digit. And I think it's pretty much the same thing that I did here. The same logic. The only difference is that on the other one is making temp equals down in the beginning, and I'm not doing this here. So I guess the problem here is that it's hitting this condition. Probably. That's the issue. Oh, and different than 0. I can't make count different than 0 here as a condition. Or maybe I can because I'm gonna return here. If it's greater than 10. If it's smaller than 10. And if it is 10, then I don't think it matters that much because this is gonna run again. Oh, actually, it's better to do it like this. So the biggest issue here is that I can't see anything wrong with the way that I did this. And I can't also print stuff, which is the problem. Maybe there's something. So what else can I do? If I take this statement here, I guess why not? Put this here and here. Just to see if I got anything different. Hmm. So it's not hitting these conditions. Yeah, it doesn't make sense for me. What if I make 6 here? I don't understand why it's not hitting these blocks here. Doesn't make any sense to me. If it's bigger than 10, it should be going through this loop here. Oh, of course. I'm making it equal to 0. Different than 0. Now it's probably gonna run, but yeah. So this is a warning anyway because I don't have a return outside of this. And now I'm getting 15 as the answer here. So this is probably this one. So it is stopped on the last iteration. So let me think. It's probably because it changed this. So let me make 0 greater than. And 15 again. So let's think. So count is gonna be 15. This has to be bigger than 10. I have to make another condition for when it's 10. At least I think that's the easiest way. Or maybe I should make here. Where is this? Oh, I shouldn't be returning here. That's the problem. And then I return at the end. Because if count is bigger than 10, then so let me check the indentation. count is bigger than 10, I need to keep the loop going. N is equal to count, and then it runs this again. Until count is equal to 10, which is gonna make it 1 and return. Or it's smaller and then returns count. So now I'm getting the same problem, which isn't probably looping through this more times than it should. Which I don't understand why. The problem has to be inside of this loop here. I think it's on the for loop the problem. Here is probably working fine. This makes the count be the sum of the digits. But then I don't see why the other statements are not working. Because if it is a number bigger than 10, you're just gonna make n equals count. Oh, maybe that's why. Oh, actually, it doesn't make any sense because it should keep going with the loop if count's bigger than 10. And if it's smaller, it should return count. I wonder if I can do it without the I++ as well. Maybe the issue is because I'm not using I as a condition. The problem is if I do count plus plus here, it's gonna mess up the number. Oh, maybe it's because of this actually. Because on the next iteration is gonna be a bigger number and it's just gonna add up to this one. That's the problem. So maybe I can do count equals 0 here. Maybe this changes something. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Hopefully passes the other ones. Nice. Let's go. Yeah, I'm happy about that. God damn. So maybe I should put some comments here. Got the sum of the digits of n. Check to see if n is bigger than 10. If it is, continue looping. Uh, continue the for loop until it isn't. I think that's the only two comments that I need to put here. The other stuff is probably unnecessary to explain. I'm really happy about that. I think I'm gonna stop the stream now and just so I have this in one video. Oh, nice. So this is the sum of digits, digital root. Let me see how long I have been here for. Nice. I like this gaming dynamic they do. So I have 1 more hour. I'm gonna stop the clock here and I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna stop the stream now. I might take a break actually to meditate. And then I'm gonna come back and do probably another problem. And I think I'm gonna reserve another 2 hours for the next problem. So see you. See you then.